artists and scholars in New York, IASNY. I arrived in New York City 20 years ago to study at NYU. So this year is a special milestone for my immigrant eye. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that the land I currently reside on, Ithaca, New York, is the traditional territory shared between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Cayuga Nation. I acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from the territory, and I honor and respect the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land. Today, on the World Theater Day, everyone, we convene in this vibrant cyberspace, while many people around the world don't even have access to internet. Let's send our good vibes and positive thoughts to global citizens across borders, cultures, and languages, to fellow playwrights and artists everywhere. It is our privilege and responsibility as theater artists, I think, to trigger and support social justice everywhere in this interconnected world, to show people what it is like to walk in other people's shoes, to try to stop hate crimes and amplify love and understanding for our fellow humans, as different from us as they may be. Happy World Theater Day. And happy Passover for everyone celebrating today. I'm very grateful for our 10-year partnership with the Nuyorican Poets Cafe in East Village. Our annual event honoring Immigrant Heritage Month has been traditionally called New York with an Accent. This year, we embarked in a new adventure, Liberty's Daughters, Immigrant Women's Monologues, written by writers across generations and ethnicities. Our Liberty's Daughters event today honors Women's History Month and, of course, World Theater Day. We have a wonderful lineup of playwrights today and artists. Each writer will introduce themselves and their monologue. At the end, there will be a short talk back with the artists. Please post questions in the chat. We hope that Liberty's Daughters will make you think, laugh, cry, take actions of support, and connect across borders, real and imagined. But most of all, we hope you'll enjoy this afternoon or evening, wherever you are, filled with talent, immigrant power, and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us in this exciting journey. And now my colleague, Yvette Heyliger, Dramatists Guild New York City Ambassador, will offer her remarks. Yvette?
Thank you, Saviana. Hello and happy World Theater Day. Wow, what a great day. My name is Yvette Heyliger, and I am zooming in from Harlem on the land of the Munsee Lenape peoples. I am a Dramatists Guild New York City Ambassador, and it's my honor and pleasure to bring an announcement to the Nuyorican Poets Cafe community. For those of you who may not know, though, the Dramatists Guild is the National Professional Membership Trade Association of theater writers, which includes playwrights, composers, lyricists, and librettists. At its core, the Dramatists Guild is about building community, building a community of playwrights, composers, and lyricists and librettists who support each other at all levels of their professional careers. In my role as the New York City ambassador, it is my honor to share opportunities, activities, and resources for writers, regardless of their membership status. So thank you, Saviana, for this opportunity. It's also National Playwriting Month, and it begins on Thursday, April 1st. In celebration, I'm happy to let you all know about the Dramatists Guild's month-long initiative called End of Play, and I invite you to join us. Participating dramatists will either complete or revise the first draft of a new dramatic work over the course of the month of April. The goal of End of Play is to get writers to the finish line, completing their process and their projects with motivation, support, and in community. You'll receive writing prompts from the Dramatists Guild over the month to keep you inspired and motivated in your writing goals. End of Play is open to both members and non-members. So writers of all backgrounds and from lands near and far, whoever ears are reaching us during World Theater Day, you are encouraged to participate. And don't worry, no prior playwriting performance is necessary. So to learn more about how to participate in End of Play during National Playwriting Month, the month of April, please visit the Dramatists Guild /End of Play, and we'll be putting that in the chat for you. Now, please sit back and enjoy Liberty's Daughters, Immigrant Women's Monologues.
Hi, my name is Alice Eve Cohen, and I'm honored to be part of Liberty's Daughters. I'm speaking to you from Manhattan's Upper West Side, located on the land of the indigenous Lenape peoples. I'm going to read a monologue from Thin Walls, my solo play about 12 diverse neighbors living in a low-income residential hotel in Manhattan's Upper West Side. The play is based on real people, real events, and a real building. It's set in the Hotel Belclair, where I have lived for many years and where I am right now. The Belclair today is one of 3 Upper West Side hotels that were transformed last year during the pandemic into temporary homeless shelters in an effort to reduce the spread of COVID-19. These 3 shelter hotels are at the center of an ongoing legal and ethical controversy. An angry group of NIMBY New Yorkers is trying to kick out the shelter residents. Another group is fighting with and for our new neighbors. Wherever you live, please join the fight for housing justice. And now I'm going to read Havas' monologue from Thin Walls. Hava is a 23-year-old Israeli immigrant. She's a cellist and graduate student at Juilliard. She's sharing an apartment in this rundown hotel with a 37-year-old single mom and her little girl. Both women are broke. Hava is talking to her roommate in the kitchen. It's the middle of the night. You are so nice to feed me sometimes late at night when I come home and put on my stupid puppy dog nightgown from Israel and my fluffy slippers. Oh, about the rent check. Please wait maybe 2 days before you deposit it so that it does not bounce again. Oh, could I talk to you about something? It is about my boyfriend. I think he is not trustable. Well, last week it was my birthday. Thank you, but it was not a happy birthday. My boyfriend did not buy for me a present. So I said, it is my birthday, you must buy for me a present. So he did, but it didn't mean anything because I had to tell him to buy it. My boyfriend is very plump and soft. It feels so good. And so a few nights ago, we were lying in bed and I had my arm around him, and actually his breasts are bigger than mine. And I was fondling his soft breasts, and he jumped out of the bed and he said, "Stop that, don't ever touch me there again. You are humiliating me." And I said, "But you feel so good. I love to touch you there." And he said, "Don't, it is terrible." And I said, "But it is just funny. I am always complaining my breasts are too small and you think your breasts are too big, so it's funny." But he never laughs from my jokes. My friends laugh from my jokes. I think I am so funny. I am so cute. I am so nice. But I think he does not love me. And then 2 nights ago, we were at his house watching a movie together. It was nice watching a movie. It was pornographic movie, but it was nice. And after the pornographic movie was over, he says, "I don't want you to know where I keep the pornographic movie." So he goes into his room. In his room, he has only one bed and one box. And I hear the box open and close, so I know the pornographic movie is in the box. So we came out and I said, I know the pornographic movie is in the box. And he said, never open the box. So the next morning we woke up and he had to go early to school. And if you say to somebody, don't open the box, she has to open the box. So I opened the box. And inside, there are 50 pornographic movies. And I think, why does he need 50 pornographic movies? And most of them are of two women. And I think, am I not enough? And I think maybe I am for him just sex machine. You are the only person in all of New York I can talk to about this. Maybe because my family is in Israel, you are for me like a big sister. You are my big sister. I can respect and trust you. In all of New York City, you are my only real friend. I didn't tell you this, but I had last month opportunity to move to share a very nice apartment, 1 block from school. And I thought of it, but I decided I would rather stay here with you because even though you are very busy and I am very busy and you're often asleep when I come home, it is important for me to know that you are only on the other side of a thin wall.
Hi, I'm Mariana Carreño. I am streaming from the Bronx, New York, land of the Lenape people. And this is called Serpents in the Ceiling or the Pace in Between. This is dedicated to moms. You think you know everything about the world? My world? How? You can't. You live in yours, in the outside. It's impossible to know everything unless you live in the inside. I do live in the inside. I live in the spaces in between. That's where you can see the real world from. I can spy through the cracks and bends, the holes that people leave behind. And I can not only see everything, but also feel it, smell it, touch it, and let it hurt, let it heal. When you don't have a body, the pain is unimaginable. It's only when you realize that reality is transformed and you're seeing things that are not what other people are seeing because they don't know how to look, that you see the real world. If you've ever been here, you've probably forgotten what it is like. It happens all the time to people like you. You grow up, you get money, power, privilege. You learn to ignore it, us. But I can't. You say I refuse to come out from my in-between, but I really can't. I don't belong in your so-called real world. Nobody would accept me as I am. Nobody knows my real name. You won't accept me unless I become someone I'm not. I am too entrenched in my body, in my refuge, in my in-between. And yes, right now, my head is pounding and my mouth tastes of puke. And I don't know what time it is because time is irrelevant. Past, present, and future coexist in this moment, in this now. And I'm dizzy. And yet, I live in a place where I can see you and the whole world and the infinite. What has been, what will be, and what it is right now, even if you choose not to see me. And I know it's equal parts illness and drugs and trauma, but those are ugly words. You don't like them. They're not polite. Trauma. Trauma smells rotten. Trauma smells like misery. It smells like you should be over that. Trauma smells like me right now. Puke and urine and failure. In these moments of now, there are spider webs and serpents in the walls and ceiling that move everything around. The walls are alive and breathing. Snakes slither up and down, pushing paintings and photographs to places where they don't belong. But who I am to decide where or who or what belongs. I know I don't. I don't belong anywhere. I don't have a name. I don't need one in the in-between. In the world you inhabit, I need $37. I know it's not much to you, but that's how short I was with the rent, $37. In your world, it was embarrassing talking to the landlord, $37 short. In your world, all I have is that old broom to sweep my ghosts away, a name that is not mine, all my fears and illnesses, and a debt of $37. I won't ask you for $37, and you will never know about them. I know your interest rates come out higher than the sharkiest of loans. I'll work it out. You'll never know, so you won't be ashamed. Not this time. No, you don't know anything about me. You think you know the rebel, the virgin, the whore and the victim, Mary and Mary Magdalene. I am none of those, of course. Or I am all of those. I am also me. And that's enough in the in-between, with my serpents and spiderwebs and feelings that taste like spoiled milk. You say you want to have a real conversation. Keep it honest. But you don't even think I'm real. You don't even know my name, my real name, the one you didn't give me, the one I earned myself, the one I keep buried like an unwanted treasure. I'm sick, I know it. I am rotten inside. No matter how much I smile and dance to the beat of the world that rejects me, no matter how much I pretend, you and I know it. I just don't belong there. I have my own stories, but they're not polite. I have songs inside, but the melody is distorted and the words are in an ugly language. I have a name, but I can't say it aloud. And you won't hear it anyway, even if I screamed it. It's fine like this, I and my in-between, and all of you in your world. The world that looks pretty pink and inoffensive and safe, the one that is stolen, the one that kicked my soul dead. In my world, in the in-between, in the now, there are broken souls and sick bodies. But we have things you don't have in your so-called real world. Acceptance, shared stories, shared, yes, trauma, the kind that ruins your perception of a perfection that is impossible to achieve. Real friendships, sometimes even hope. From my world, we can see yours, even if you deny ours, us. You think you know everything about the world? No, not even a little. But I am tired of yelling. You won't hear it anyway. I won't have another empty conversation. Nothing to gain from it. Thank you.
My name is Andrea Crymes, and I am zooming in from Mesa, Arizona, the ancestral lands of the Hohokam people. I know it's March, but my untitled monologue recounts memories of my Christmases growing up in Trinidad, and I hope you enjoy it. Daddy wasn't a good cook at all, but if there was one thing that he could do, it was bake. And every Christmas, he would make bread and black cake from scratch, and that was one of our traditions. My sister, Amanda, and I didn't really get involved in the baking growing up, other than to be nosy or to pick in the fruit for the black cake. But there would be a time in the process when the dough was done being kneaded, and Daddy was making individual loaves that he would call us to make our own little personal loaves in whatever shape we wanted. It could be a turtle or just a round lump, whatever we wanted. We could make our own little bread, and when it was done baking, we would sit in the kitchen, my sister, Daddy, and I, and savor warm bread fresh out of the oven with a little bit of guava jelly or orange marmalade. This is one of my favorite Christmas memories. When I moved to America in 2001, I went back home fairly regularly, and the holidays were like I never left. But as I got older and I started working full time, the ability to go back home was not as convenient. To fill that gap, Daddy started sending me black cake, and I maintained a small connection to Trinidad for the holidays. In 2008, Daddy died. I realized that I would never have bread or cake made by his hand ever again. And it's funny because I never had an interest in really knowing how to make the bread or the cake before. But after he died, it was like I had an insatiable craving for it when Christmas rolled around. So I had Amanda send me the recipes. She was living in Trinidad and was lucky enough to have access to them and was there many years before Daddy died. She learned how to make the bread and the cake, and she tweaked it a little bit, and she was really good at it. She sent me the recipes, and I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, how am I supposed to read this? Daddy's handwriting was chicken scratch. It was Krappelfoot handwriting. You couldn't read anything that he wrote, but I said, you know what? I will figure it out. I have to be able to do this. So I tried to make the bread one year as best as I could. I gathered my ingredients and I felt really positive to begin with. But as time moved on, I got frustrated, either because I couldn't understand Daddy's handwriting, or I couldn't figure out if it was butter or margarine or both, or I couldn't figure out if he used an actual tablespoon or just a cereal spoon that we would call a tablespoon. How much? What were the measures? I did not know. I finally got it together, somewhat, mixed my ingredients, made my dough, and set it to the side for 30 minutes. The first thing I noticed was that the dough did not rise as much as I thought it would. That's when I knew I messed up. Oh God, I messed something up. Regardless, I put it in the oven, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Yes, I did this. It kind of looks like bread. As it baked, the aroma of bread wafting through my kitchen bolstered my feelings of hopefulness. The timer went off and I pulled the bread out the oven. Okay, it looks like bread. I cut into it and I don't know what I did, but that wasn't bread. It was practically inedible. I was so disenchanted, so disheartened that I felt like I had failed. I felt like a disappointment. Why didn't I pay attention all those years? Why didn't I insist on being involved in this baking process? I gave up. I put it to the side and I cried about it. I ate what I could, the crust. I ripped that off and I ate it. That was good. But the rest was rubbish, and that's where it ended up. Another year passed, and in thinking back on the bread fiasco, I decided to try to make cake. This, I think, is probably easier. It had to be easier. So I pulled out Daddy's recipe with Amanda's edits. I committed to making this cake. I read this recipe and I studied this recipe. Now, if you don't know, you have to soak your fruit in rum and brandy for a minimum of 2 weeks, but ideally a few months before Christmas. I soaked fruit for about a month, but I couldn't find good cherry brandy. I didn't let that stop me though. I bought all the ingredients. I didn't even know what some of these things were, but Daddy said to put it in the recipe, so that's what I did. I called Mommy and Amanda so many times that night just to make sure I was doing it right. They probably got sick of me. I remember pouring the mix into the pans and putting it into the oven, already thinking to myself, I hope I didn't mess this up. Just like with the bread, as it baked, the aroma made its way through the house and it smelled like Christmas. When I took that cake out of the oven, I was astounded. It looked just like Daddy's cake. It didn't taste exactly like it, but it was close. It was really close. The elation and joy that I felt was the greatest. I felt as if Daddy was with me and had held my hand through the cake making process, whispering in my ear, Andrea, that's enough, as I added ingredients. The beautiful thing about black cake is that you could soak it in rum, keep it in a cool, dry place, and it will last for a really long time. So I wrapped it up in paper towels, I soaked it in rum, and I put it in my pantry. I ate that cake for so long. I ate cake for weeks. Every day I had a slice, and every day I felt joy. I ate cake until I couldn't eat it anymore. I gave cake away. That's how much cake I had, and that's how proud I was of it. Now, I feel confident that I have a piece of daddy that I can pass down to my son, who never had the privilege of meeting the ancestor whose name he carries. He always tells me that he's disappointed and sad that he never met his grandfather. And he might not like the cake now, but that's okay. Maybe he'll grow to like it. And in true Caribbean fashion, every story has a lesson. I wish I had held family and traditions closer, even from 3,500 miles away. Avoid the regrets of not connecting with loved ones before they become ancestors. Thank you.
Hello again. My name is Yvette Heyliger. I'm a playwright, a producing artist, and citizen artist. I want to acknowledge that the traditional lands of the indigenous peoples in America were largely built by the unpaid labor of enslaved Africans. This week on Wednesday, President Biden asked Vice President Kamala Harris to lead the new administration's immigration efforts on our southern border. So for Liberty's Daughters, I thought I would share an immigration story, although this one is about our northern border. During President Obama's re-election campaign, I was an Obama Fellow, and one of the issues that I worked on was immigration reform. At barackobama.com, there was a section called Immigration Stories, where people would post their stories. And there was one that caught my eye in particular. It was brief, but compelling. It told of an immigration story that I had not heard before. Canadians immigrating to the US. Because of the scanty details provided in the post, I attempted to find the author in the hopes of learning more, but was unable to. So I have adapted their post, taking the liberty to fill in some gaps in historical information to help with our understanding of this unique story of Black Canadians immigrating to the US from Canada. I hope that they are pleased with my efforts. I'm on my way to Canada, that cold and distant land. The dire effects of slavery I can no longer stand. Farewell, old massa, don't come after me. I'm on my way to Canada, where colored men are free. My great-great-great-grandmother was an enslaved African who walked from Florida to Canada, carrying a newborn and speaking no English. She might have settled in a northern state, but the passage of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, better known to us as the Bloodhound Law, had ruled that possibility out. You see, the Bloodhound Law said that officials and citizens of the free states up north had to cooperate in the capture and return of all escaped slaves to their masters down south. Abolitionists had nicknamed the Fugitive Slave Act the Bloodhound Law because bloodhounds have a keen sense of smell, and they were used for tracking and hunting runaway slaves. Well, I guess them old dogs must have lost the scent, because my great-great-great-great-grandmother followed the North Star all the way to Canada. In fact, the Underground Railroad brought tens of thousands of fugitive slaves to Canada, a country which had abolished slavery some 67 years earlier. Southerners, though, made fervent requests to Canadian officials to deport runaway slaves. But the Queen of England said, every man who is free, every man is free who reaches British ground. Well, a baby wasn't the only thing my great-great-great-grandmother brought with her to Canada. She brought her knowledge of the African irrigation and sewer systems. This knowledge came with her as a stowaway cargo from Africa, across the Middle Passage, across America, all the way to Canada. Upon arriving, she saw what was needed and how her knowledge could be put to use. She taught the settlement of escaped slaves how to build African irrigation and sewage systems. Also, Black Canadians could learn to read and write, and the one-room schoolhouse she helped to build in the settlement is now a museum. I like to think her daughter, my great-great-great-great aunt, learned to read and write in that schoolhouse. Black Canadians are comprised of a couple different groups. African Canadians, who trace their heritage to the first slaves brought by British and French colonists to Canada. Black loyalists, who had been promised freedom if they would fight on the side of the British during the Revolutionary War. Fugitive slaves who fled the Southern United States, and Black people of Caribbean origin who identify as Caribbean Canadians. Meanwhile, back in America, a couple generations in between, there were jobs to be had. Although America did not invent the automobile, they became leaders around the world in the auto industry because of the invention of mass production. Hearing this news, my African Canadian grandparents immigrated from Canada to the United States to find jobs in the auto industry, working on the assembly line. Now, why'd they go and do that? Mr. Jim Crow was waiting to welcome them at the border. Jim Crow was the name they gave institutionalized racism, which kept a foot on the neck of Black people in every aspect of their lives: education, housing, healthcare, and jobs, especially the kinds of jobs that white folks felt rightfully belonged to them. Southerners had lost the Civil War, but were determined to preserve white supremacy, relegating Black people to second-class citizenship with no rights and no protections under the law. But because my immigrant grandparents knew a little something about equal protection under the law in Canada, they fought for the freedom of Negroes in their new home, America, during the Civil Rights Movement. I wish that they were here to have seen a Black man whose father was born in Africa and with an African name be elected to the highest office in the land. How proud they would have been to know that President Barack Obama saved the auto industry during his first term in office. Because my immigrant grandparents fought for freedom in America for Black people, as a second-generation Canadian American, I fight today in their honor for future generations of our family. You know, if the story of America is truly to be told, we have to tell and accept every aspect of the story in order to get a complete picture of America that includes immigration of Black Canadians to this country. James Baldwin wrote, "History is not the past, it is the present." In other words, history is now. We must create an America today in such a way that it will be honorable in history. Farewell, beloved Canada, don't you cry for me. I'm going back to America to fight for liberty.
Thank you so much, Yvette, for that powerful monologue. Thank you. I'm not Antoinette LaVecchia. Antoinette, who is also a celebrated actress, not just a writer. I mean, we are all wearing different hats. We are all multidisciplinary artists to a certain extent. But Antoinette got a paying gig for a TV show. So she was called for one of those shooting days today. So good luck, Antoinette. What she did, though, she created a video for us with her monologue and her introduction. So I will play the video for all of you. I will share my screen. And this is Antoinette LaVecchia.
Hi, my name is Antoinette LaVecchia, and I'm sitting here in a small suburb outside of Manhattan on land that was originally occupied by the Lenni Lenape tribe. I'm an Italian immigrant. And I was born in the same village as both of my parents and their parents and their parents and their parents going back hundreds of years. I'm going to share a piece today inspired by my mom. We came to this country when I was very young, and she never got to experience the kind of freedom that I fought very hard for and won eventually. And in my piece, I allow her to finally experience the kind of freedom that I've enjoyed for a long time. I no sleep no more. Why? I no understand. Almost 50 years now, I sleep maybe 3-4 hours a night. I come to this country and I don't sleep no more. What are you gonna do? So when I no sleep, I pray. I pray for my family. I pray for the world. I pray for everybody. Even my daughter boyfriend, his children. But I can't pray all the time. So when I no pray, I worry. Last night, all night, I worry about the back door my daughter buy for her house. She tell me, oh, it's so nice, Ma, so glass. I see everything outside. I say, you crazy. Anybody can look inside. Animali, people. They do bad things to you. It's dangerous. She not think, my daughter. She say, oh, Ma, you gotta stop. You scared of everything. Yes, I'm scared. You see how many bad things happen in this world? Oh, life is too easy for my daughter. And you want to know why it's easy? Because I work my whole life like a chooch, a donkey. My arm and my leg, they hurt me all the time. The sacrifice I make for my children. They say, oh, Ma, thank you. We appreciate. Ma, they don't understand. When I was 21, already I have 2 small children. I live with my husband and his parents, and I do everything for them. And I never complain. I cook, I clean, I scrub the floor, I wash the clothes by hand, everything. And every day they go work in the field, and I stay home. And from when I wake up to when I go to bed, I work. You think it's easy with 2 small children? And one day, my husband, he come to me and he say, we gotta move to America. He no find work, no in paese, no work anywhere. I can't say nothing. He's my husband. I gotta do everything he tell me to do. He make me leave my parents, my brothers, my sisters, everybody. The first 5 years in America, ero morta. I was dead. Everywhere I look, I don't understand nothing. I know speak English, I know read English, I don't know anybody. So I stay home, I take care of the children, my husband, and then his father come, and then his uncle, his cousin, and they all live with us so they can work in America. And we live in an apartment this big. And who you think take care of everybody? What are you gonna do? That apartment, we live right next to the train track. And the train go by day and night. We watch the TV like this. And when I watch the TV, I no understand nothing. Oh, you know, the first time I understand all the English on television was Kunta Kinte. You remember that movie? I understand everything. Everything they say, everything they do. I love Lucille too, ma. Not the same. And after 5 years, ero resuscitata. I come back to life. My daughter say, I can't believe you come to this country by yourself with 2 small children. How you do? You want to know how I do? I hold one big suitcase with this hand, my daughter with the other hand, and my son hold his sister by her hair. Era piccolino, only 3 years old. And grazie a Dio, we get on the, what do you call the WTA, the TWA, the big plane. And we come here in 1969. My daughter now, she go, 1969, ma, you know, so much happened in America. King assassinato, Kennedy assassinato, the moon. She want to know if I remember these things. Ma chi sapeva niente? I don't know nothing. All I do is work all the time. I think my husband saw the moon. He come before us to America, but not me. Oh, hey, you know what? I remember the day King died. You know why? That time in my paese, I don't know nothing about America, nothing. But this day, my mother-in-law, she was a funny lady. Her husband buy her boots to work at the field. And they were pesante, heavy, these boots. And my father-in-law, Pasquale, her whole life, he make her work so hard. It was no right. He tell her that she have to wear these boots every day to work at the field, and they hurt her feet so much. And one day in Paese, my mother-in-law and me, we pass some paesani talking on the street, and we hear this say in Italiano, somebody kill King, somebody kill King. And my mother-in-law say, I wish somebody killed Pasquale for buying me these boots. Oh, she make you laugh. She had a hard life too. Ooh. Before, I keep everything inside. But now, I gotta let everything out. I still do everything for my husband. But now, I talk all the time. I never let my husband forget what he do to me, what I do for him. And when I talk, mi sento libera. I feel free. I no sleep no more. But maybe tonight I sleep.
Thank you, Antoinette. I'm so glad that she did this powerful monologue for us. And I'm also happy she has paying work. I mean, actors, artists need to be paid at this time for their work. So happy she's working at this time. All right, and now it's actually my turn. As I told you, this year, 2021, is for me the celebration of 20 years in the US, in New York, in the state of New York, and in New York City first for 12 years, or 15 almost, going back and forth with Ithaca, where I teach at Ithaca College. I arrived in New York City on August 23rd, 2001, and then 9/11 happened. So what I did, and you will see from these excerpts that I will read from my performative lecture, New York with an Accent, or Alien with Extraordinary Skills, which you'll see why is that called. So I started to take photos of New York, especially of the American flag or the US flag in New York after 9/11. It felt important for me. It felt like a way of belonging, of discovering the city and bonding with the New Yorkers. So I will read a few excerpts, and then I'm going to show you a few images, actually, a few of the photos that I took at that time. Thank you. Okay. Alien with extraordinary skills. I'm Saviana, you know, the Romanian. I'm Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast. I'm Dracula, the vampire. I'm Ceausescu, the dictator. I'm Romica, the clown, twisting balloons at McDonald's in Victory Square in Bucharest. I am a global foreigner. I am a new New Yorker. I Google myself every day before breakfast to make sure that I exist and I can start boiling an egg. I eat, therefore I am. I am, therefore I eat. Therefore I am, eat, am, I. Confusion. Back to numbers. Where did I put my passport? Here. I am the O1 visa, number 20071691340002 for aliens with extraordinary abilities in the arts. I am an alien with extraordinary skills, longing to become ordinary. Ordinary. Have I ever been ordinary? I wish. I was a college student at the revolution in Bucharest, protesting in the streets against dictator Ceausescu. Chants, energy, hope, bullets, wounds, corpses. The dictator is gone, a new era. Flash back, flash forward. Flash back, flash forward. 20 years ago, I arrived in New York City a few weeks before 9/11. 9/11, flash back, flash forward. I bought a no zoom camera, started to walk around and capture images with my rough eye. My rough eye. I and New York City trying to understand and heal each other. New York, which New York? It's a common say that there are 3 New York cities. One of those born here, one of tourists, and one of the new immigrants. But those days in September, there was only one New York, and I was there. I was a part of it. It was my city too. I was collecting emotions. Days after, weeks after, months after, I begin to see the American flag everywhere. Flag shrine, flag shop, flag shop, flag show. I took over 100 photos of the American flag. Flag mannequins, flag belts, flag jumpers, flag t-shirts, flag skirts, flag hats, flag umbrellas, flag costumes, flag scarves, flag rings, flag hamburgers, flag dogs, flag windows, flag doors, flag stockings, flag underwear, flag pillows, flag buildings, flag trucks, flag cars, flag people, a solidarity on display, fashion show, a community-based performance, a roller coaster of emotions, a PowerPoint presentation, flag strawberry lockets, flag guitars, flag apple, flag bags, flag brooches, flag inflatable baseball bats, flag skills, flag silk scarves, flag patriotic cotton t-shirts, flag tattoos, flag Halloween, flag Mr. Softy, flag vendors, flag sweaters, flag hats, the American dream, the American flag, dream flag, dream flag, dream, 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 dream flag, dream. Can I have an ordinary day inside my dream? And now I'm going to show you a few images from my presentation. That's usually happening, of course, at the same time with the text, but it was difficult to do it now. So here we go, the PowerPoint presentation. So this is me with the 2 flags, the Romanian and the US flag. Actually, the flag played a huge role in the Romanian Revolution as well, because the people cut the symbol of the totalitarian system out of the Romanian flag. So again, the flag as symbol of what? Of identity, of revolution, of solidarity, of what? These are a few images from the revolution in Bucharest in 1989. Again, the flag with the hole in the flag, the present absence, the absent presence, flag, dream, flag, dream. This was the dictator Ceausescu, and he was caught and put on trial and executed on the Christmas day. This was him when he was still in power. This is what we all knew, that Ceausescu and his wife were the father and the mother of the people. I was born during Ceausescu's regime, and all I knew was Ceausescu until the revolution, until I was a college student. This is the time when we're pulling down the pedestals, the symbols of the totalitarian statues. And then America, as I said, the American flag, again, the present absence, the absence presence. I didn't even get to see the towers, and then they were gone. So again, the present absence, and trying to understand this new city. My rough eye, flag steps in the flag story, me at NYU. Flag, 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 American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, flag, dream, flag, dream, American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, 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 American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, 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 flag, 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 flag show, 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 flag, 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 American flag, American dream, American flag, American dream, 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 American dreams. Thank you all. That was my little presentation. And now, Lucy.
Hi, my name is Lucy Wang. I am streaming from the land of Tongva people. I am born in Taiwan. I came to America when I was very little as well. And I always asked my father, what kind of aspiring Asian American moves to Ohio during the Vietnam War? But that is another monologue. Today, I'd like to read my monologue called Suffragette 16. I'd like to introduce you to Mabel Pinghua. This monologue was written for a new Shokan Kitchen Islands project, Put a Woman on a Pedestal. And Mabel is 16. She's an immigrant from China. She's not yet American because it's illegal. And she has just been invited to lead the suffragist parade in New York City in 1912. It's expected to draw 10,000 people. And she's struggling, like, should I lead? Should I not lead? And this is her monologue. And it's set on May 3rd, 1912, the evening before this huge parade. And again, Mabel's 16. God, if you're listening, I need some direction. I've just been invited to lead the parade of suffragists up Fifth Avenue in New York City, starting from Washington Square. Me in the honor guard, in the spotlight. It's a dream come true. Naturally, my parents are worried about my safety, putting myself out there up front. Mom wants me to reconsider and march in the back with her and her friends. My dad agrees. He says, it's too risky. I'll be such an easy target. Plus, I'm only 16. I've got a lot of living to do, and I got a lot of homework too. I just got into Barnard. Me, who ever thought a girl like me, an immigrant with so much to say, could get into Barnard? Of course I'm thrilled. I'm grateful. Thank you. But I'm not stopping there. No way. Change requires action, courage, ambition. After Barnard, I'm going to be the first Chinese American woman to earn a PhD in the United States from Columbia University. Okay, technically, I'm not Chinese American yet. Right now, it's against the law for me to become an American citizen due to the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. But tomorrow, with my pluck and your blessing, God, we could spark change. That's why I think I have to go against my parents and say yes. We didn't come to America to march in the back. This is my chance to be a pioneer. 10,000 people are expected to attend. I can't wait to show the world that Chinese women can lead and think on their own two unbound feet. Chinese women deserve the right to be educated, the right to become American, the right to vote, because we're brave and we have so much to contribute. And just like everyone else, we're equal. Please, God, if you're listening, if you're willing, please show me a sign that I'm doing the right thing, that you'll be watching out for me on the front lines. There's so many maniacs and haters out there. But you brought us to this country. Dad's congregation keeps growing by leaps and bounds. Thanks to you, you taught me miracles happen when you stand up for what you believe. The first Chinese Baptist church is making history. And tomorrow, with your help, there's supposed to be thunder. My sound effect failed. And tomorrow, I will do the same. I will make history and lead the suffrage parade on horseback. Thank you. Sheshe.
Thank you so much, Lucy. And now everyone who presented, please, thank you all, wonderful, wonderful monologues. Can you come back on screen for our short talk back? Thank you all who joined us and are here with us in the Zoom room where everything happens. Please post your questions in the chat. So I'm posting my bio because I missed that. And let's have a short talk back with our wonderful artists on World Theater Day. My first question, before we get to your questions in the chat, is, okay, on this World Theater Day, I think the big question is, what do you feel is the role of theater artists at these transformative and strange times? What do you feel is your role as a theater artist? And what do you feel is our role as a community of theater artists? Anybody who'd like to take this big question?
I think I'll give my 2 cents, because technically I'm not a theater artist, right? This is my first time performing anything ever, and it was awesome. But I would say that as a consumer, as a person in society, kind of just looking in, theater brings hope to people, right? It allows you to kind of separate from the crazy things that are happening in the world, or it even allows you to be more connected to the crazy things that are happening in the world, right? So I think theater allows people to learn and see things in a way and from a perspective that maybe they wouldn't have been open to before. right? And that's how I look at it, right? And I think as theater artists, it's important to continue that because a lot of people get what they need from this kind of outlet.
Thank you, thank you. It's so beautifully said, and that's why I kept my background with many hats, because yes, we are wearing many hats as artists and writers, and I also like to call us multidisciplinary artists. So whatever we want to call us at this point, what do you think is our role as cultural workers? Shall I say that? Or anybody? Anybody?
Well, Saviana, I think you modeled so beautifully today what one of the things I think is so important, which is despite the pandemic, despite having to be so separated from each other in literal ways, I think it's important for theater artists to continue to bring people together, to tell each other's stories, to listen to each other's stories. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of Liberty's Daughters. I think you have modeled so beautifully, bringing people together during this pandemic in ways that are exciting. We get to meet each other. I've heard these beautiful monologues from each of you. I'm so moved by each one of you. And as a teacher, I teach in a college and an MFA program. During this time, I feel like I want to give my students courage to tell their stories, to not be afraid of anything. And also even to give them the courage to have writer's block for a while, to have fallow time. It's okay. Whatever works for you is okay. Even if this is just a time to kind of gather stories and gather feelings and feel pain of the world, it's still a time to be collecting stories in order to then share them with each other and with an audience.
Thank you, Alice. Yes, it's so important to share our stories and to get people to walk in other people's shoes and other people's stories as much as we can, because I truly believe that that's a bridge to understanding each other. Anybody else who wants to answer that question, or you can, Yvette?
During the pandemic, artists were the hardest hit for unemployment, especially artists in New York and Los Angeles. And of those artists hardest hit, women and Black, Indigenous people of color were really hit, really hit hard. And you all know women lost 100% of the jobs at the end of 2020. So, there's been a lot of time to be at home, to be in our incubators, to be working and still creating and writing songs and music. And, hopefully we've used this inside time to still create and flourish. And personally, I can't wait, Saviana, for when we're back in the theater or back in alternative spaces, just to hear. Well, we have been hearing a lot on Zoom, it's true. But, to be back in the theater and in alternative spaces, hearing the work that's come from this unprecedented time. So, there's we're living in interesting times, and we just came through a hard year. I won't bring it up, but, there's a lot to write about. So just telling our stories.
Yes, thank you, Yvette. And actually, the silver lining of the Zoom thing, it can go globally. It's recorded. People around the world can see us now, can see us later in the video recording. I think, that's the little good part. Lucy or Mariana, do you want to say something?
Sure. I think we all touched upon it. I think as artists, we can help provide community and let other people, and empathy, as you pointed out, by showing a role or a voice in somebody else's shoes, we can provoke and inspire empathy and community. But I also think we can also respond creatively. Like, I was recently asked to write a play to honor one of the murdered victims of Atlanta, and so that their death does not is not the end of their life and voice. Like, we can honor them. So I think that's another thing that we do, is we help people not forget the struggles, and the struggles that we're all in it together. Like this monologue that I chose today. I mean, there's massive voter suppression going on right now. And even though my monologue was set in 1912, it's kind of terrible that we're still facing the same struggles today. We're still trying to get the vote. And how long does someone, and she wasn't allowed to be an American citizen in 1912, but she decided to vote to walk with the other activists. So that to me tells me that we're all in this together. You know, even if I'm not a direct beneficiary of something, I still have to stand with the whole human race, right? Even though I live in California, I stand for Georgia. You know, those people deserve the right to hit water when they're voting. You know, it's just inhumane. So I think, you know, that's what we can do, is we can amplify these voices.
That's so important. Exactly. As I was saying, you know, the part that we need to play in the fight for social justice and, you know, equity and human rights. And I'm so happy you are working on a play about Atlanta. I mean, especially at this time, the hate against, unfortunately, our Asian American friends and colleagues and people, I can't have words for that. So yes, it's playwrights. I think it's important, and to give authentic representation to those stories and voices. Thank you, Lucy. Mariana, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, the last thing that I want to add, because it's basically yes to everything that has been said, and bearing witness. We are part of this community that has been hit really, really hard. As a professor, like sometimes it's super frustrating because I feel that I'm teaching a dead art, and I keep reminding myself that that's not the case, that we're bearing witness on very important changes that are happening right now. And it is our job to really understand what's going on around us, and to really understand the pain that people are suffering, and the communities that have been really accepted. We need to bear witness, and we need to tell those stories.
Thank you, Mariana. So yes, beautifully summed it up. I mean, I have other questions, but I'd like to see if any of you has questions for the other presenters. Anybody? Why don't we, because I don't see questions in the chat, I see only wonderful words. Thank you all for joining us, and for the beautiful words that you wrote in the chat. I can't believe we have here Migdalia Cruz, a major playwright that I'm a huge admirer of. Thank you, Migdalia, for joining us, and many other amazing people are here with us. And yes, okay, so let me ask a specific question then. About, you know, what are you working on? Are you working on anything at this time? And it's okay if you are not, because, you know, I'm really planning to take this day off and go and take a walk after this presentation. But anybody who wants to say something about any projects that they are working on and they like people around the world to know them about, because it's World Theater Day. Anybody?
Working on survival. No, it's been really hard to write. I'm not gonna lie. Like this whole year has been like a shit show when it comes to writing for me. It's like I'm still processing what's going on, and it's been really hard to just write it down. I mean, I started a new play. I worked this. Was so like this monologue that I did was super hard to write. I was still like writing this morning. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and that's pretty much been my year. I'm trying to, you know, teach and keep all of us sane and keep all of us creative and writing. I'm doing a lot of writing exercises with my students. Like whatever prompt I give them, I try to do it myself just to keep writing something. But I'm kind of like refusing to write about the pandemic or about what I'm feeling now, just because I haven't yet processed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mariana.
Working on an
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Lucy.
I'm working on an anti-bullying play for youth because suicide rates have spiked during the pandemic, as well as during the last 4 years, where everybody's it's now okay to come out and harass and bully people, or it was, 4 years ago during the other administration. And so I'm working on that. And I'm also working on a musical about mixed couples, because there's a lot of stuff about, there's not very much stuff about mixed couples, and I discovered. So I'm working on that. Those are my two big main projects.
That's great. Can't wait to see those projects coming to stage or screen or whatever.
That's hopefully at a theater near you soon.
Thank you. Yvette?
When Meghan Markle married Prince Harry, we learned about Queen Charlotte. So Meghan was not the first biracial person in the royal family. And I was fascinated with learning that there was a Queen Charlotte who's the great grandmother or whatever of the present queen. And so I was selected for 365 Women a Year, and I chose to write about, asked if anyone had taken Queen Charlotte. No one had. So I have until December 31st to write about Queen Charlotte, who was married to King George III. And I'm really fascinated because we have Bridgerton, which is on Netflix now, and we see like the older Queen Charlotte. But I'm interested in writing about the younger Queen Charlotte and how she met George and how they hooked up, because I know that the invention of race happened maybe less than 100 years before. My counting might be off, but it was still fairly new, the invention of whiteness and white people and race. That construct was still fairly new when they met and married. So that's what I'm interested in exploring. This whole invention of whiteness and if it affected, or apparently it didn't. They loved each other. They got married. So,
wow, that's such an important topic. Thank you, Yvette, for working on that. Alice.
Yeah, when I said hello, I mentioned that I am right now in my home of many years, the Hotel Belclair, and this might be madness, but I am writing about what is going on right now during the pandemic. Last March, my building, which was almost cleared out, it's a mixed use building. I've lived here for 40 years in a rent stabilized apartment, but most of the building has been a commercial hotel. And in March, with the pandemic, all of the commercial business shut down. And 2 months later, the building became a temporary homeless shelter. So 20 of us long-term tenants and 300 new neighbors who are clients of the Department of Homeless Services. And it just like a violent controversy ensued, and very hostile, I think mostly white and wealthy Upper West Siders were up in arms, and they have worked tirelessly to try to kick out the shelter residents of these 3 Upper West Side temporary shelters. And another group has been working very, very hard to, on behalf of and in collaboration with our new neighbors, to try to preserve their liberty and safety. And it made me reflect on my many years in the building, and on the building was built in 1903 as a very like an upper middle class residential hotel. By mid-century, it was a welfare hotel. It was kind of in decline when I moved in as a penniless artist in 1980. And it's had such a long history of housing the haves and the have-nots. So I'm investigating the last year and this really critical legal and ethical fight in the city, and my tenure in the building, and the 100-year history, which has seen this kind of wild reversals in fortune of, and it's kind of a microcosm of the history of housing low-income people in the city. So I'm working on a play called Hotel Limbo. I worked on it really hard in the fall. I can't write right now. I'm in that place where I can't even write a single word, but I expect to, and I'm committed to writing the play after the semester is over when I have some time.
Thank you, Alice. And we have a question in the chat. Thank you, Rosalie. Rosalie asks,
Andrea didn't share.
Andrea, do you want to share your project?
Yeah, I can share real quick. You know, my projects, I guess, are a little different from all of yours, right? What I committed to doing, and it's very similar because I'm in this headspace where I cannot really function just because of everything that's going on in the world, right? So like to be able to commit that time and energy to focusing on a project has been really, really difficult. But I'm in the very early stages of working on a podcast, which I guess is going to be a series of me monologuing. So I'm working on that. It's going to be called Drea Reads and Rambles. I read a lot. I read a whole lot, a lot of fiction. So I'm going to talk about like the books that I've read, and of course tie that back to experiences, or I'm going to talk about experiences and tie it back to books. But again, very early stages. I am yet to record my first episode, but I'm slowly, this actually has been a really good catalyst for kind of like telling me, hey, Drea, get your butt onto your recording and start recording your first episode, right? So I'm hoping that I will have that out soon. So that's the biggest project. And of course, this also has pushed me to tell myself that I need to write more. So that is also something else that, you know, will kind of go hand in hand with my podcast. So there we go.
Oh, that's so exciting. So everyone, you got to listen to that podcast. Sounds super cool. Yeah, if you need to post more info about that, please post it in the chat, Drea. Okay, so we have a question of in what ways do you feel women's experience of borders and migration might differ from those of especially cis straight men? Anyone who has thoughts on that? Interesting question. Anybody?
It is a very interesting question. I think that for me, it means that I never feel quite at home anywhere. Like I don't have that sense of, like I'm not always sure that I belong, or even if I'm sure I belong, I think others don't think I belong. So there's always this feeling of, is this my home? Where is home? You know?
I heard on the news today that during Trump's administration, because things were so horrible at the border, people were not properly vetted to oversee the children that were being kept. And so there was a lot of sexual abuse. So for women coming to the borders, I think there's a particular, I know boys are sexually abused as well, but I think for women, we're particularly vulnerable and making that journey, and the children making that trek and then not being safe even once they get in a cage. You know, it was very sad to hear that. How can you not vet the people you're hiring to be at the border? I mean, who the hell did they let watch over these kids? So, and as women, our bodies are always the ones that are, you know, we're the battlefield for all the crap the men do. So I'm talking about war and violence against women.
No, that's very true. We don't feel safe. We're never safe.
Yeah, and actually, I think that in a way we answered that question because all of us, you know, we presented women immigrants monologues. So from all those stories, the puzzle, the tapestry of stories, we can see how it is different and unique for each woman and probably for women in general. I see a question from Karim. Yes, unmute yourself and ask a question, sure. Can you do that, or it's not, the settings don't allow for the audience to unmute themselves? Olivia. Thank you, Olivia Fortunato from the Nuyorican Poets Cafe for
Hi, I was able to unmute. Hello?
Great, okay.
Hi, my question is for Mariana. Mariana, thank you so much. I loved your piece.
Oh, thank you.
And I was really struck by your bare description of humanity with the stench of urine and puke and failure. I really love that. And then I was struck to learn mid-monologue that your addressee was the landlord to whom you owed $37. And my question to you is this: we often talk about the value of catharsis and sharing our bare selves amongst like minds. This space is certainly an example of that. But is there also something to be gained by sharing ourselves, by laying ourselves bare for those who do not see us, for those who even want to kind of delegitimize our truth or kind of, you know, disinterested parties? And I'm zooming in from Newark.
Thank you, Karim. I think so. I mean, I think ultimately there's a shared experience. And yeah, there is something very specific about being a woman or about being an immigrant. And I know a lot of us have had to punch our way into the room. But I think that there is a responsibility to show the ugliness as much as to show the joyful or the catharsis as much as to show like the everyday interactions. I think that no matter where you come from, we've all felt shitty or unloved or like we don't belong, or we've all been sick at some point. I mean, if you're a woman, most probably you experienced some trauma in your life, no matter what walk of life you come from.
I forgot this is recording. I wonder if I've done my video.
No, so and a lot of the times is we don't allow yourselves to go there, and we're being used to being shut up and shut down. And I think that there is value on screaming louder, and to say like, yo, I'm here, whether you like it or not, whether I belong to your world or not, I'm still here, and I'm gonna make some noise and break something, because why not? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's my job, right? As an artist.
Right, because the supposition would often be, this person doesn't see me, this person doesn't value me, I'm not going to be that vulnerable. And that's why I loved the juxtaposition between the honesty and the humanity in your piece, and then also this is being addressed to my landlord who wants to, you know, disenfranchise me by kicking me out of the apartment for being $37 short on the rent. Beautiful. I really, really loved your monologue.
Oh my God, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think because we want to keep it to 90 minutes, let's see if our panelists have a sort of final thought for the word today, because this is being recorded. So any final thought on World Theater Day about immigrant women, or not, about artists, about anything that you feel like sharing with the world on this Saturday? Alice?
It's also Passover today, and I attended a beautiful progressive Passover Seder at the White House with 10,000 of my closest friends, hosted by our second gentleman. It was just awesome. Oh, and the rabbi said something. The rabbi was a brilliant woman from Los Angeles who had such beautiful liberation theology things to say about the holiday. And it is a holiday that celebrates liberation from slavery and oppression, and at which we say we Nobody is free until everybody is free. And she talked about, there was this question about women immigrants. So one of the earliest women immigrants was Miriam, Moses' sister. And she pointed out something that I didn't know at the time when the Israelites were told to flee in a hurry so fast that they had to carry unbaked bread dough on their backs, which was, baked in the sun into matzah. Miriam, Moses' sister, whose name means rebellion, packed a tambourine. Why did she pack a tambourine and tell other women to pack their tambourines? Because she knew that in this desperately difficult, traumatic time, there would be dancing and singing and music. And she knew it was important to be prepared to sing and dance and play the tambourine. And I thought that is relevant to what we're all trying to do.
Amazing. Happy Passover. Oh my God, of course. Thank you. This is really beautiful. And I'm happy that the White House celebrated. And anybody else wants to share final thoughts or?
I was just gonna say, well, thank you, Saviana, for inviting us. I always enjoy doing this sort of event, and I love the Nuyorican Poet Cafe. I dedicated my piece to Moms, who's a really close friend who passed away a couple of days ago. But the first time I saw him, when I met him, was at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. So I felt that it came a little bit full circle. And then I was gonna say, Happy World Theater Day, go out and hug a playwright. But then I remembered that we're not supposed to be hugging people right now. So don't do that, but support theater.
Yes.
Please.
Good point. Thank you, Mariana.
Thank you, Saviana. Thank you.
Who else wants to say anything? Andrea, Yvette.
I'll just say I don't, since the pandemic, I rarely leave my house. And, so I'm not outside a lot. I did go get my shot. So I appreciate the opportunity to celebrate World Theater Day because it's brought a little joy and light into my apartment, which I never leave. And I just thank you, Saviana, for your work and for holding space for these immigrant stories. It's so important, and thank you so much.
Thank you for participating. Oh my God. Andrea?
Yeah, I kind of want to just echo, everybody else, Saviana. I appreciate you welcoming me into this circle, if you will. This has been really, really good for me. And I hope that, my shared story touched people. And if it didn't, oh well.
We want some of that cake, Andrea.
Yeah, I want can you post the recipe, please?
We want some of that cake.
Oh, no. Holla at me at Christmas. But no, I really do appreciate being welcomed into this circle, and I hope that I get more opportunities to do things like this. And I was telling my close friend Jamara, I was saying, hey, maybe now I can consider myself a creative. I can kind of make that part of my title. So no, thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And happy Theater Day. Happy Theater Day.
Thank you. And you are a creative. Come on, your monologue was amazing. We can't wait to listen to your podcast. I'm so excited that you have been here with us, and you'll be again, hopefully, and if you want. And thank you all for to the artists for really sharing your powerful stories. And thank you for people here in the Zoom room with us for taking time, on a beautiful Saturday. For being with us in the space for immigrant stories that might not be so light and so cheerful. And thank you all who will be watching this recording in the US and around the world. Thank you all for being here, for theater artists, for any other creatives like us or like other people. And let's enjoy this weekend. Let's be there for each other. Let's be creative or not. Just, enjoy life, people. on World Theater Day and every day. Goodbye. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
take a
you.
picture. Let's take a picture.
Thank you. Did somebody take a picture?
I got pictures.
Did you get?
Awesome.
Yeah, I got them.
Thank you. Enjoy
Thank you.
beautiful weekend.
Happy Passover.